Let's get to it. All right, what's up, everybody? It is your good old boy JR coming to you live from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, it's a beautiful Sunday. We're going to be talking about the Minnesota Vikings. They are now on the clock, and as always, I got my good buddy here, Brandon. How you doing today, my man? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, feeling good. Amazing Saturday night watching WrestleMania, but that's another conversation.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, I had a good Saturday too. Nothing too crazy and everything. And then now it's just here we are again. I feel like I just got done talking to you yesterday about those Washington Commanders. But here we are. The draft never sleeps, apparently. So this is what we do, folks. But here we go. Today it's all about the Minnesota Vikings. New regime, new everything. And we're going to talk about this a lot. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings, they have a very interesting team on paper where you look at it and you say, man, this is actually a pretty good freaking team. Why can't they get over the hump? So, we'll get into that in a minute. So, Brandon, you ready to get this play started?
Let's do it.
All right. So here we go. Today it's all about the Minnesota Vikings. After another abysmal 8. James, glad you're back, man. Thank you so much for your support, my man. After another abysmal 8-9 season, which was second best in that division, which is terrible, the Minnesota Vikings had decided to call it quits with Mike Zimmer and hire a new regime. So let's just look at the last season of Mike Zimmer. They were the 14th best offense, believe it or not. 24th defense, meaning it's just not good enough. It was just not good enough for that defense. And, when you look at this when you look at this draft class that they just had, you got to think to yourself, they have to have some talent there. First round pick, 23, Christian Darrisaw, that's your starting left tackle. Hey, he's a rookie and he did the best he could. There's nothing much more to it other than that. They didn't have a second rounder, but they did select in the third round, pick 66. They did select Kellen Mond, the quarterback out of Texas A&M, who is now back up again to Kirk Cousins since they re-signed him again. I think pretty much the writing's on the wall for the guy. Mike Zimmer, on one of his very last post conferences, while they still had a chance to get into the wild card, a reporter asked him, why don't you throw Kellen Mond in there and see what he's got since Kirk Cousins not getting it done? And Mike Zimmer responded with I've seen enough in practice to know what he is. When you got a head coach telling you that, the writing's pretty much on the wall, dude. Enjoy your career as a backup.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's what it is. Now, unless he could turn it around, but I don't think you give up on a rookie quarterback like that. I think you drafted him because you saw something in him. And let's see what this new regime does, and we'll get to that. They had another third-round selection, 78, and they chose Chaz Surratt, the linebacker out of North Carolina. Now, he was another interesting character last year. Some people had him early second. Some people had him late third. He ends up going where people kind of projected him to be, and he's just a backup linebacker. I think everybody expected him to be like a steal in the draft, and, he could do this, he can do that. It's like, well, yeah, he can, but is he gonna fit with that Mike Zimmer attitude? Who's he gonna take roles away from? And because they had Anthony Barr, Eric Hendricks, so he just ended up being backup the whole time he was there. So it's just one of those things. You just got to say, okay, well, we'll see what we can do with him next year. See how free agency goes, and maybe he gets a little bigger role heading into next year. So 8 picks later, Wyatt Davis, the offensive guard of Ohio State, again. They didn't need to draft him, but they took him because he was the best player available. Since they already have Ezra Cleveland and all them, there was really no need for a Wyatt Davis. But you can never have too many offensive linemen. So at this point, you just have him as a backup guard, and just if his name's ever called, then there he's ready to go. Now, their last pick, 4 picks later in the third round, Patrick Jones, defensive end out of Pittsburgh. I think Minnesota did this right to draft players for the future because they know they have their starters in place. These are guys just down the road. And Patrick Jones, I mean, 7 tackles all year. I mean, that's what you're going to get when you rotate him and everything. As a special teamer, he was just way behind the depth chart with Daniel Hunter and a bunch of these other guys that they had on the team that, listen, man, you're not going to get a lot of snaps, but somewhere down the road, we could use you and you could be a nice rotational piece. Just right now, just learn the game. 4th round, 119, they took Kenny Nwansu, the running back out of Iowa State. 3rd string running back. I mean, look, when you got Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, it's already hard enough to get some snaps.
Yeah.
So you take them, which might be a blessing in the disguise, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Look, but he only had 61 yards rushing, 4 receptions for 9 yards. So he's really not a 3rd down running back. He's just there just to pick up the tough yards and everything. The tough yards that you don't want to risk Dalvin Cook getting hurt for, and Alexander Madison is too small for those 3rd and short. So that's what you got the big running back out of Iowa State for, to get the tough 2 yards, 1 yard, whatever it is. Now, this is probably their best pick out of the whole draft. Their next 4th rounder, 125, Cameron Bynum. He was a corner out of Cal, but they put him at safety, and he actually ends up being their starter at free safety. And, 28 tackles, 1 interception, 1 sack, and 3 pass deflections. I mean, it ain't Harrison Smith numbers, but I'm pretty sure he must be pretty happy to know that, hey, I finally can work with somebody that we can probably make a good little duo for a good little run here. So, I mean, to get a starting free safety in the 4th round, to get a starter in any position in any round, that's just a blessing at that point. Now, 4th round, 134. Again, they went defensive end again. Janarius Robinson, the defensive end out of Florida. Same thing as a Patrick Jones type. Hey, man, we just have you just in case, Daniel Hunter goes down or some of these other guys go down.
Yeah.
Just get ready. Just learn the game. Be ready. Get yourself healthy. All that stuff. 5th round, 157. Amir Smith Marsette, the wide receiver out of Iowa. Special teams guy, nothing really flashy, anything like that. And again, when you have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith Jr. for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then you also got the other wide receiver that I keep forgetting his name as well. There's just not a lot of opportunity for you there. But 5 receptions, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So when he did make the catch, it seemed like every catch he made was a pretty good one. So, I mean, it's worth knowing. Now, 5th round, 168, 9 picks later. Zach Davidson, the tight end out of Central Missouri. He knew what was up. Irv Smith was there. Tyler Conklin was there. He ended up being a 4th-string tight end, and majority of the time, he was a healthy scratch. It was just like, hey, same thing. Just learn the game. And then their last pick, 6th round, the Tom Brady pick, 199. Jalen Twyman, the defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. I never played it down because, unfortunately, before training camp even started, rookie training camp, he went home and he got shot 4 times. Now, luckily, he survived. He's okay. But he was just not ready to play. Practice squad dude, and they had him for practice squad for good reasons, just to have him on. And, it is what it is now. So, just same thing. I mean, so in the end, I mean, I love what Minnesota did here, was build for the future. But the problem was you signed Kirk Cousins not for the future. You wanted to win now. And I think that was kind of like the first downfall. I mean, Brandon, the names I named you, what's your one word to describe the Minnesota Vikings season as a whole?
Fired. See, this is why Mike Zimmer got fired. You drafted players for the future knowing damn well your job might be on the line. So if you drafted players for the future, you might not be able to coach them, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And it's kind of like it's exactly what happened. He's not there to coach those players. So who are we to say they're gonna probably still be in the franchise mindset wise going forward? So they may be good, but they probably will never get the chance to see it because this new regime is going to try to see what they can do with their players. They want their players in that situation. So we shall see with this draft, because if not, all those players you just named are exactly what they was. Backups, rotational pieces, and to a lot of them, movable pieces.
And you know what? I think it's. I think Mike Zimmer did Kevin O'Connell, the new head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, a solid. Because usually when you bring in a new head coach, you have to release some players and you have to work your way building the depth. At least now he knows, okay, I got depth. Let me get my starters and then let me see what I got in depth. And then let me just see how it goes and everything. Let me see what I got. So, I mean, I think he did him a solid. I just think that, unless the plan was for Mike Zimmer to come back next year, unless he had that full bonus confidence that he would be back next year, I think that's why the draft is so unspectacular.
Yeah, it's kind of bad. I didn't understand. Every player you just
I think that's why it was like so bad. But I think unless he had that full boost of confidence from everybody, from Ziggy and everybody saying, okay, you will be back. But I don't know what happened. It was just to the point like, okay, now we're just going to go in a different direction. Take care. And, we're done.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that. And I'm just kind of like, well, damn. You kind of wasted a year. Well, you got your starting left tackle, which you needed.
You got a safety.
You got a safety, which is cool. But other than that, it's kind of like, well, we don't really have anything else. And that's the thing about Minnesota. You look at Minnesota and it's like, they got their left tackle. Ezra Cleveland is a good guard. Bradsbury, the center that they drafted a couple years ago in the first set, he's a good center. And it's like, okay, so that's 3 solid pieces right there. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, that's a good trio of receivers right there, even though Irv Smith's a tight end. Dalvin Cook's one of the better running backs in the league. What's happening? Why can't they get this offense going? And then the defense just took a major nosedive from what they were when Mike Zimmer first got here. When Mike Zimmer first got here, that defense was amazing. And then it just seems every year it just keeps worse and worse, but they were still competitive. This year was just a complete nosedive.
Which brings him getting fired even more to the fray. Because what is Mike Zimmer's calling card?
It's defensive coordinator, of course.
Defense.
Of course.
So it's kind of like that's the one thing that kept holding us back in a sense. Kirk Cousins is another conversation, but to a lot of people, the defense being held back, kind of getting worse as time progressed. It's kind of like, but can you blame it on Mike Zimmer? Because the defense was getting old.
Yeah.
They're getting old. Like they were getting older. So it's kind of like, can you blame that on Mike Zimmer? Yeah, I guess, but it's only so much you can do with an old defense.
And put it this way, this is the best offense Mike Zimmer ever has since he signed Kirk Cousins, and it was still kind of unspectacular. Like, it was still one of those, okay, like, Justin Jefferson is great, but he'll be great with it. He'll be great with any quarterback.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is amazing, but that's Dalvin Cook before freaking Kirk Cousins got there. Adam Thielen has been doing this way before Kirk got there. So in the end, it's like what? You want me to give props to Kirk Cousins for finally having a good season? No.
Listen. We do a show, NFL Pick'em, and every week you rave about Kirk Cousins because he was on your fantasy team. Look at Kirk Cousins' numbers. Kirk Cousins is this. I said, does anybody know Kirk Cousins is even doing all this? Because nobody cares about Minnesota. Nobody cares.
I was talking in those episodes. I was talking about fantasy points at that point. He was giving me a lot of fantasy points.
He was. But it's kind of like, and the
thing is, nobody noticed.
But nobody cared. Like, it's like, yeah, Kirk Cousins literally at one point was leading the league in like touchdowns to interception ratio, and nobody gave a damn.
Yeah. And then what's messed up is that he got hurt, and I'm like, oh man, I had to pick up somebody. And then somehow, miraculously, Joe Burrow was in the free agency wire. And I'm like, all right, let me give this kid a shot. And he played the Ravens that week, and I never looked back. Never looked back. That was it. Never looked back. I know. Somebody gave up on Joe Burrow after two disappointing games.
First of all, who did that?
I don't know, but thank God he dropped him.
Yeah,
I got him.
They need
never
to get
looked
drug
back.
tested. Yeah, they need to get drug tested. That I don't think they knew really what Joe Burrow was going to be because he was coming off an injury. I get it, but it's kind of like his rookie year, he was really damn good.
Yeah,
with no receivers, with no weapons. Imagine now he's got like a real true number one that he trusts in Jamar Chase. And that weapons, oh my God, yeah. Whoever did that, they need to be drug tested.
I'm just saying, I think the man that dropped Joe Burrow in my fantasy league, and that actually elevated me to win my championship at work. So, thank you, everybody. That's right. But anyway, I will say this though about Minnesota as a whole, that I think they're a really good football team. I think they're a competitive football team. They don't know how to win, and it's sad because they have veterans there and they still don't know how to win. And I think that's the most disappointing part.
Is it that they don't know how to win, or is it because they think they're supposed to win?
It could be a little bit of both. It could be a combination of a little bit of both.
It's because we've been saying, like they got like we literally say every year Minnesota looks like a really good team on paper. So we expect them to challenge Green Bay every year for the NFC North. And they don't.
And they have struggle matches against Detroit. They understand, like, this is where Minnesota's at right now. You got a great team on paper, but on the
Detroit
field,
beats Green Bay. Well, Detroit beats Green Bay sometimes. So I'm not about to sit here and say, like, Detroit's one of those teams that you think you just whoop their ass and then they like, not today. And like,
once on a full moon with a hair up my dog's ass, that's when Detroit beats, and he's bald. So I'm just saying. It's one of those things. I'm just saying, but
they beat him this year, so we can't say they can't.
Yeah, it was a full moon, I guess, and my dog had a hair up his ass. I don't know, but for Minnesota, for me, and then what's really disappointing is that they still had a chance to get into the wild card, and then all of a sudden, Dalvin Cook, had to go through this issue. Now, people that don't know. And I don't blame you if you don't know, because this offseason was amazing and people kind of forget the trouble issues and everything. People don't remember this, but I mean, we do because, we have to keep on top like this. Yeah. But people that don't remember, so in November, when the season was kind of winding down, Dalvin Cook got accused of assaulting I think it's his ex-girlfriend now. I mean, his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, I think she was his ex even when the assault kicked in.
Something like that, yeah. Allegedly. Exactly.
I think he was like, she was coming back to his house to get something, and he was like, "You don't have nothing here," something like that. And
it was just one of those things,
Yeah.
It turned it, and then
it was really like he say, she say. We don't really know.
We don't know what really happened, and then you had the whole disturbing tape recordings and everything. The whole disturbing of him calling the cops, saying that he has a gun. All that stuff. And, it's like, okay, like if this dude, this is the first sign of, hey, man, maybe he's kind of not crazy, but he's kind of losing it. He's kind of losing it a little bit. Like, hey, man, like, you okay? Like, you good? But then, I guess, they're still working out. I guess they're still working on a court date or anything. I don't even know if I think they had the court date already. I think it was on March 24th, but I think the judge pushed it back again for a disclosed date and everything. So I was just like, okay, so we're not going to hear anything now until later. But then a couple months later, Dalvin Cook filed a lawsuit against his ex-girlfriend, claims that her version of the statement was false. So now it's just a big mess of, like you said, he said, she said type of deal. And I think it's very sad that it has to happen to a player like Dalvin Cook, who just got that major contract. He just got his money. He was going to finally afford his put his life together. And then this pops up. This pops up, and and it's like Biggie said, more money, more problems. It's never been a truer statement. The more money you get, the more problems you're always going to have. And I will say this, we've already touched the issue of Deshaun Watson and everything, and this is another case of he said, she said type of deal again.
And we got another case we got to talk about at pick 18.
Oh, but that's different.
That's way different.
He just
That's
whooped the
way
dude.
different.
He just whooped on the dude.
Yeah,
He just
that's a
whooped on
way
the
different
dude. There was no
conversation. But it's
woman
still,
involved. It was two men, but I mean, it was one of those, dude. Why would you beat him up? Look, come on, dude. Really? You're gonna beat a valet parking lot, dude? Really?
listen. This hurts me. This hurts me because I know we're gonna probably lose him for at least 6 games. I've
Wow,
seen
dude,
the reports.
you can hear the suspension sizzling on that pan right now, can't you?
And this is how messed up the NFL is. They'll wait till we're like on a winning streak and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to suspend him now." Like, what? You could have did that earlier. What are you doing?
Tough.
We got all the evidence now. Well, you had the evidence then. What are you doing?
But I think for Dalvin, I think what it is, and here's the thing, it's not even court, it's a civil suit, meaning it's just between the two people. So I mean, it could come to a settlement at any time, and it's like done. And that's one of those things where I'm just kind of like,
and it kind of brings into the conversation of like what Deshaun Watson is going through, because we got to talk about tomorrow Cleveland, and so it's kind of like brings into that conversation. Like now it's just civil suits that he's going through. It's not really like a real trial anymore. It's not even. So
and here's the thing: now that there's video out there of his deposition, it looks bad on Cleveland at this point. That his answers are shitty. You gave him all that guarantee, and he knows he's like 2 weeks away from being scot-free. Pay the money, and this will never hurt him ever again. It's like, whew. If you haven't seen those deposition videos, go on YouTube. They're on there, and it's disturbing, very disturbing to see. But I think for Dalvin Cook, the thing is, he was charged with domestic abuse. But from what the reports say and everything, there was really nothing bad.
There was nothing really there.
It's like, okay. Yeah. It was just one of those things. I mean, I would report it too, falsely in prison and all that stuff. That's perfectly fine. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those things, like, they got to be smarter with their heads, dude. And I mean, we'll keep you guys updated on this. But until then, I mean, this is just what it is now.
Yes.
Now the season's over. Free agency started and everything. And this, the first order of business that they did was bring in Kevin O'Connell. Now, if you remember that name, you better remember, because he was the Los Angeles Rams offensive coordinator for these last 2 years. And he did a really amazing job.
Okay.
Put it this way. He did an amazing job with Jared Goff, and he did an amazing job doing what he could with Matthew Stafford and the gang.
Can we just say, I give him all the credit for Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford is just like, dude, if Odell Beckham's open, if Cooper Kupp is open, just throw it to one of them. The rest of this is pretty damn easy. It's ABC. It's ABC. Yeah. If one of them is open, just throw them the damn ball. They will figure out the rest.
Yeah. But let's give credit where credit is due. I mean, he did have to work with Sean McVay with coming up with a game plan and everything. So, I mean, hey, give credit to him. Now he's going to go to a Minnesota team, which, who knows? Maybe he could do some magic with Kirk Cousins, and I think that's why they brought him back for one more year, just to see what they could do with it, just to see what could happen. Maybe this guy is the quarterback whisperer. I don't know.
And this is kind of where it kind of gets interesting, because, like, you hired a head coach, but it's your defense that's been failing you. It's not even your offense; it's your defense.
Yeah. And we'll get to that, and then, his first order of business was to get his offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator. So his offensive coordinator, a former Rams staff member, Wes Phillips. Now, he was the tight end coach and the passing game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams last year. And look what he did with this job. I mean, he made John Higbee a underrated tight end. Like, that's pretty good, dude. It's pretty freaking good. I can live with that. And that passing game the Rams had last year was, I know you had Odell Beckham Jr., you had Cooper Kupp, you had Robert Woods for a little bit, you had John Higbee, Van Jefferson. You had a lot of good guys. You had running backs that can also catch as well. But, I mean, that's part of the job, isn't it? He has to coach these guys anyway, right? He has to come up with this game plan, right, for passing. So, hey, there you go. There you go, my man. So he did his job. And we'll see how he does offensive coordinator. Now he has to control it. But, I mean, this has to feel good if you're Irv Smith Jr., a young tight end, and this guy did this with John Higbee, he's really going to help me out. He's really going to make, he's going to get me my catches now. Now, the defensive coordinator, I will say this. They did an amazing hire for the defensive coordinator job. Ed Donatel. If nobody knows that name, you better know this name. This was the Broncos defensive coordinator for the last 3 years. And what do we always say about the Broncos every year? Top 10 defense every single year. This dude is amazing. And guess what position he also held there? A defensive backs coach. He's the one that made Justin Simmons a good name. He didn't have to coach up Patrick Surtain a lot, but he worked with him very well to be a good football player.
I mean, to transition him into an NFL cornerback, he did a pretty good damn job.
So Ed Donatel, I think, is going to revitalize this defense, and I think it's going to go back to being what it was: mean, nasty, aggressive. All right, I can't wait. I think Minnesota did the right hires here. I think they did right here. Brandon, what grade would you give them? Like, be honest. What do you think about it?
You got a pretty good damn defense, coordinator. We shall see how the defense look. And the offense is pretty much going to be like the Rams in a sense. So that's pretty damn good. I'm not. It's
not going to be all Rams offense. I'm sure there's going to be some kinks.
Yeah, it's for the most part, you're going to probably do something different so everybody doesn't notice the Rams. But it's kind of like you come up with a new game plan, but it's still going to be some similarities to the Rams. And by the way, you have like your Cooper Kupp. And I don't think this is where I think now, do you trade a Adam Thielen? Because it's kind of like if you got Adam Thielen and you also have a Justin Jefferson, you kind of got like two really good receivers. Why would you trade one?
Well, why not keep both? And remember, KJ Osborne, he's on the roster too.
Yep.
All right, so that's a good deal. And
and they're probably gonna drive a receiver later on in the draft just to make sure.
It's a possibility. I think it's a possibility, but like I said, I think I love this pick only because I love the staff. I love what Ziggy did here. It's like, look, man, why not get the best guy who coached the best offense in the NFL last year? Doesn't always work, but you won't know until you try it. And why not get a defensive coordinator who, for the last 3 years, since Vic Fangio's been the head coach, that's coached the defense? Why don't you just get him and see if he can help your defense?
Yeah.
Because it's all about, at this point for Minnesota, it's all about improvement at this point. It ain't even about winning the division anymore. That time has come and passed. Like, them winning the division is not even a thing anymore. It could be depending on how Green Bay wants to play it this year. But the thing is, they have Aaron Rodgers, and Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago do not. That's the thing. That's the only thing about it. They do not.
Yeah, Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers, but Minnesota has a better roster. But that really hasn't worked since. That really hasn't worked.
It worked one time. I think it worked the first season that Mike Zimmer was there when they won the division. Yeah. But the reason was Aaron Rodgers got hurt and he missed the whole year.
I was just about to say that. Like, they broke his collarbone. So it's not like
it's like, when he came back, it's like,
they literally broke his collarbone in Minnesota. I remember that.
So I'm just saying, all I'm saying is this: for Minnesota, it's all about improvement. And I think they made the right hires here to improve on their roster. And hopefully by then they just go from here. I think at this point it's all about improvement. So on that note, so here we go, Brandon. 4. Here we go. It's the 12th pick. Minnesota's got a new staff. They got some new players. Unfortunately, Tyler Conklin left to the Jets. Mason Cole was kind of expandable when they drafted Bradbury, the former center. He's now heading to Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh desperately needed a new center.
Good God.
Okay, look. Mason Cole might not be the best center, but he's still serviceable. Like, people forget, he was the starting center for an NFC Championship game. So he's got some service to his name, damn it. All right, he's going to go to Pittsburgh now. And They're going to move their rookie Kendrick Green to left guard, which they should have done anyway. But, Pittsburgh's looking like they're forming a good offensive line now, which that's all they need. Now, unfortunately, Mitchell Trubisky is their quarterback, so we will see how that works out for them. But they're not today. They're a little down the road. Xavier Woods is leaving because, well, dude, you lost your starting job to a rookie. So you're kind of expandable too. So we'll see you later. Nick Vigel's heading to Arizona now. But I do like what they did bring in.
Okay.
I loved what they brought in.
Okay.
Sedarius Smith, the outside linebacker from Green Bay, he's coming in. So it's like, okay, we're losing Anthony Barr. Okay, here comes Sedarius Smith. We're good. Harrison Phillips. Okay, bingo. There's your big guy right there. Bam. We're good. Jordan Hicks. Unfortunately, he became expandable in Arizona because of two reasons. Isaiah Simmons is really good at playing linebacker, and Zavain Collins picked it up at the midway point of the season. So Jordan Hicks was kind of like, well, we got to go younger. See you later, man. Jesse Davis, he's a serviceable right tackle, swing tackle from Miami. They're stealing a tight end from the Los Angeles front. No, not Johnny Higbee. Johnny Munt. All right. And the other Johnny. The one with the Y, not IE, the one with the Y. Chandon Sullivan, they're stealing him from Green Bay, the corner. Nate Harrison, he's going to rejoin his defensive coordinator from Denver. The cornerback, he's joining his old defensive coordinator, so he's going to pick up the system like that. Who might even take the number 2 job playing next to Patrick Peterson because he knows the system already. Chris Reed, there's your guard. So, really think about this. When you look at Minnesota's offensive line, Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Bradbury, Chris Reed, Jesse Davis. That's a pretty okay line that can only get better by playing together. And then you got Austin Schulman, who's a backup guard. He's coming to Denver too. So, I love what Minnesota did here. If we're going to go back to focusing on our defense and we're going to go back to being this Minnesota team that we all know we can be, we got to get smart veteran players. The ones that were there, now, unfortunately, Anthony Barr is still out there, which I am very surprised. I thought Anthony Barr would have been picked up first wave.
Well, I think he got pushed to the back end when Bobby Wagner got released.
Pretty much. And it's like, oh, man, but you would think with Anthony Barr being out there for that long, it's kind of like
something's up.
And he's probably going to be on a cheap end deal for teams that need a linebacker post. He's heading to a lot of names are going to head. And I keep mentioning this yesterday. A lot of these free agents that we keep talking about, the Tyrann Matthews, the Stephon Gilmores, Anthony Barrs now, a lot of names. Hell, Teron Armstead was about like 2 days. Like, had he not signed with Miami 2 days prior, we're talking about him being probably a post-draft free agency pickup. And what do I mean by that? Once the draft's over, if you're still looking at your roster and you need help somewhere, and there's a good name out there on free agency, you could get him the veteran minimum because, like, hey, dude, you went this long, you got to play on the veteran minimum.
I could kind of see Anthony Barr going to Kansas City.
I would love to see Anthony Barr in Baltimore.
That too, Green Bay.
That would be cool. That would be really cool for him. But I just think for right now, I love what they did. So Darius Smith, there's no other thing other to say than he's really good at football. He's really good. Harrison Phillips is an amazing defensive lineman, versatile defensive lineman who can always seems that he gets the job done. And it showed in Buffalo. Jordan Hicks is a smart player. And I think it's because of his smartness is why he's lasted in the league for so long. That I think that's what they wanted to bring. They wanted to bring in awareness, situational awareness.
And Jordan Hicks is one hell of a pass rusher. So if you kind of could get him and Darnell Hunter both healthy and ready to go, you got 2 pass rushers when you need them. So there it is.
So I think Minnesota did this right. And remember, it's not about winning the division for Kevin O'Connell the first year. It's about let's bring in some guys. Let's improve our team.
Well, Juan, we can't say that because Mike Zimmer won the first year he was there. Even though you broke Aaron Rodgers' collarbone to get it, but still, you won the division the first year you got there.
I know, I get it. But remember,
and he won it. Here's the thing: he won it. Think about who he won that division with. Case Keenum.
Yeah.
You better win the damn division, man. I don't want to hear that. He just wants a bill. You better win. He won it with Case Keenum the first year. You better win that damn division.
But I mean, and I think that's the thing. It's like, I think they're just going to build a team first and then get their quarterback because they don't have to be financially committed to Kirk Cousins.
That's amazing. I'm happy. You better win that damn division. You have no Green Bay. Green Bay literally has to draft every receiver that they could possibly get their hands on. They have barely a defense. You just literally signed one of their best pass rushers on your team.
Yeah.
You better win the damn division. I don't want to hear that. If Detroit,
now, I will say this. This is going to be this is a joke that my brother told me yesterday. He goes, "Hey man, how many receivers do you think Green Bay takes?" And his over under is 3. And I'm like, dude, it has to be under 3. They're not going to draft 3 wide receivers.
Well, it depends on what they do in free agency. I mean, you still got Julio out there. You still got Odell out there. We shall see, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm like, 3? Damn, dude.
First round. If they got a second round, I can see it. It may be late for it.
Oh my god, that is a lot of wide receivers.
If you got like a late second round, you got 2 picks in the second.
Well, they
round.
got 2 in the second. Remember, they got 2 in the second.
See, you can draft maybe a defensive player or maybe an O lineman or whatever, and you get a receiver. We've said numerous times this receiving draft class is very deep, so why not?
I get it. But all right, Brandon. Without further ado, there's your team. That is the roster so far of the Minnesota Vikings. But now it is time to add a new toy in Kevin O'Connell's first ever draft pick. So, Brandon, Roger Goodell's at the podium. What name is Mr. Goodell going to read on that card for the Minnesota Vikings?
All right. Like I said, I've been going back and forth with this for a day pretty much since yesterday. And so I've been trying to figure out who I was going to go with. And I came up with this idea. So the number 12 selection for the Minnesota Vikings in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings will draft Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback from LSU. Listen, if you know anything, you know that secondary is old. Minnesota secondary is extremely old. Mm-hmm. You just had to re-sign Patrick Peterson. Like, that tells me a lot. like that tells me so much. And I think if you draft a Derek Stingley Jr., this is why he kept falling down on my draft board. I think he came in too damn cocky, thinking that he was just going to be the number 1 D-back off the board regardless. And now that Sauce Gardner has pretty much jumped him, it's kind of like you need humbleness. And I think going to a Minnesota with those veterans that you do have in that room, with a Patrick Peterson, with a Hunter Smith, you got veterans in that room that will easily humble your ass. And you need that. You need to learn. You got all the talent in the world. It don't mean a damn thing if you go to a team that don't have veteran presence like that on a defense. You have, I think you still got Eric Kendricks there. You still got, Darnell Hunter. You got defense. You got Hunter Smith, like I said. You got Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson comes from LSU. He probably mentored you when you were a freshman during that championship run. I know he probably did. So it's just like, there's a lot of respect there. So you're not going to go overboard when you go to a Minnesota. And I think that's the thing. And I think that he needs that. He needs structure. And I think if you go to, and like you just said, the defensive coordinator that he will be probably going to doesn't play with him. He's going to learn discipline really fast. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need. And as a young cornerback in a league that already came in with the attitude, I'm the best, you need humbleness. And I think if you go to a Minnesota, you're going to get humbled real fast. And I think he needs that. And then you know how to learn and be the guy. Then you're back to being the guy. But until then, and plus, like you said, they already drafted a safety last year. You pretty much already got one piece. You need another one. You need a lockdown corner. And if he comes to Minnesota, I think you get that.
I like it. I like it. It's about time you showed Derek Stanley. Now, what is that? A 2-pick separation between me and you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
About a 2-pick? Because, I had him going at 10.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I think it would help him to learn from a veteran like Patrick Peterson. And like I said, Nate Harrison's going to be there. Chandon Sullivan's going to be there. Guys that have won games and everything. Games that have, players that have won, players that have been coached very well, and they're very smart.
I think the respect that he has for Patrick Peterson coming from LSU, wearing number 7, like Patrick Peterson wore, that's like the impact number that you wear.
Yeah, that's the number.
That's the number. So you both wore that number. And I think also Hunter Smith still being there. That's their veteran secondary guy. That's their captain. That's their guy. And if you're learning from him also, that means a lot. So I think he needs to go to a team that has veterans that's already built into that organization, that he doesn't go to them over the top. You need to go to a place like Minnesota. You don't need to go to New York. You'll get so damn enamored with the damn life that you got in New York. You need to go to Minnesota. You need to humble your ass. You need to just sit down and chill. You need to chill, man.
All right. Well, I like it. I love the pick, and I think it'll work out for Minnesota. I think Minnesota can do no wrong here, especially how our universes have been shaping up and everything. But I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to go a different route. Listen, Ed Donatel, he's an amazing defensive coordinator. The one thing he always said, and that's very apparent, is he's a true believer in getting to the quarterback. He's a very true believer in that. That's why they wasted. That's why I didn't say they wasted. They chose a high draft pick for a Bradley Chubb. And, when he got in there, remember his first year when he got in there, he had all these guys, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Derek Wolfe, all these guys that got after the quarterback. And then little by little, they were just replacing these guys with younger, fresher pass rushers. But the impact was never the same. So he knows right away the impact that you need is a star player in the trenches to get after the quarterback. You have to. You have to get after the quarterback. So for my pick, for the 12th pick, I'm going to go another guy who needs to be humbled really quick. Really quick, because he thought he was, he thought he was the best damn player in the whole draft. And in my world, he's falling like a Greek god quickly. So here we go with the 12th pick in the draft. The Minnesota Vikings select Kavon Thibodeaux, defensive end from Oregon. That's right. I can't go Derek Stingley Jr. because he's already gone to New York in my world. He's a New York man now. But Kavon Thibodeaux, get your ass to Minnesota. And same thing. Daniel Hunter's not going to put up with your shit. Harrison Smith ain't going to put up with your shit. Patrick Peterson ain't going to put up with your shit. Sedarius Smith ain't going to put up with your shit. You were brought in to help the trenches and get after the quarterback. We need you to get after. We need you to get after Aaron Rodgers. We need you to get after Justin Fields. We need you to get after Jared Goff. We need you to get after these guys. And we need you to stop the run. We need you to stop David Montgomery. We need you to stop, the running backs from Detroit. I keep forgetting their names. And we need you to stop Aaron Jones. We need you to stop all these guys. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, all these guys. We need you to stop the run and stop the pass, which he can do. He can do both. 6'5", 258 pounds. He can do it. He can do it. And, this man, I can understand why this man thinks he's the best player. I can understand that. Just look at his resume in college. Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Year in 2019. He was the number 1 recruit in all of high, not number 1 in California, not number 1 in the West Coast, no, number 1 in the nation. And he chose Oregon. He chose Oregon over Alabama, over LSU, over a lot of these SEC schools, over everybody. He chose Oregon. He was a 2-time first-team All-Pac-12 in 2020 and 2021. He won the Morris Trophy in 2020 for being the best defensive lineman in the Pac-12 and a unanimous All-American in 2021. So I can understand why in his mind he thinks, I know I'm the best player because I've shown I'm the best player. But nah, man, you ain't. Scouts don't see you like that. A lot of these mock drafts don't even see you like that. You're good, but they don't. Here's the thing. I think in his mind, he thought he was Jadeveon Clowney coming out of college.
Oh, good God.
Dude, you're not even that.
Oh, good God.
My pro comparison to him, Andre Carter, another Pac-12 defensive lineman from a long time ago from Cal Berkeley. Andre Carter. Listen, he's not that bendy. He's all power rush. But he can still get after the quarterback. He can still get after the run. He can still do his thing. And I think Ed Donatel would do amazing wonders with this guy.
We both picked players that we thought need to get humbled, by the way. I just want people to know that. We both picked players. We're like, if they go to Minnesota, they're going to get humbled really fast. Like, we both. I like that pick. It's a pretty good damn pick because it's just like, yeah, Thibodeaux needs to get goddamn humbled as fast as he can. I think that they got as much help defensive linemen as they can get. I think that's why I'm like, secondary wise, how many more times we know Patrick Peterson can really play? Like you just said, Patrick Peterson is going to probably be the number one corner.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to trust Patrick Peterson as your number one corner?
My only thing in my draft is after Derek Stingley, what's the drop off from the next corner?
A good bit.
It's the corner from Penn State.
A good bit.
It's the corner from Florida. And it's like they're not bad corners, but if Kavon Thibodeaux is there at 12, is that those are one of the questions. BPA?
What? Okay.
Or we draft for need.
Okay. But that's your draft because your draft, you already took Derek Stingley off the board. But mine's, I took Thibodeaux off the board. So I'm going with need in the best player. He's there. Like he's there. Like he might as well, like, and I think the same thing with you. It's like not only is Thibodeaux the best player, he's also a need kind of in a sense.
Because how many more years does Danielle Hunter really have?
And how much of that line is gonna? Because that's been the biggest thing. That's been the biggest thing about the Vikings the last couple of years. It's not that the defense is getting that defensive line is so frail. They're so frail. They can't really stay upright after a while. Yeah. And so that's what happened. So yeah, I can understand why Thibodeaux would fit that damn team. It will fit him perfectly because, like you said, he's not really a pass rusher. He's a run stopper. But in the division like you won't have to worry about DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones and David Montgomery. Like, you're gonna have to worry about those guys. And plus, when you get outside of that, you have to play against maybe a Cam Akers and maybe Leonard Fournette if you could get in the playoffs. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, maybe Ezekiel.
I'm not saying that he's never going to be a pass rusher. I mean, he does.
He can work, but with that defense, he can work himself into becoming one. Because, like you said, because I don't think Darnell Hunter was like seen as a pass rusher right out the gate. He's kind of seen like he could just stop the run in a sense. So it's the same thing. So he can kind of learn from him too. That's why I feel like
almost having. I mean, put it this way. In the 3 years that he's played, he's gone close to 21 sacks in, the whole 3 years he was there. That is an average of 7 sacks a year. You don't think that maybe, just maybe, Minnesota would love that if they could pick up 7 sacks from him a year?
It's kind of like Darnell Hunter in a sense because we didn't know what Hunter was going to be until he kind of got into like that defense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and when you run a 4.5, you bench press 27 times. He's got power and he's got speed. Why not? Just make the deal.
Yeah, we both. You took somebody I already took off the board, and I took somebody you already took off the board. It took you 4 picks to finally put Thibodeaux on the team. It took me 2.
Well, no, because I mean, you took Thibodeaux
with Atlanta
for Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about a 4-pick difference. Yeah, that's a lot. And there's still one name that I still haven't called on that you picked them at 4, I believe. Tracy Walker or
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Trayvon Walker.
he's still out there. He's
Yeah.
still out there to me.
Yeah.
He's hanging around somewhere, but where's he going? I don't know. He's going somewhere though.
He's going somewhere. We don't know where. No, you got like 2 picks, 2 names. You got a name and I got a name that I took Trayvon Walker and you took Charles Cross already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got to figure out where these guys are going.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, yeah, for my pick this time, I'm gonna go Kavon Thibodeaux. Like I said, I just think they need to start thinking for the future defensive line wise. And listen, if you take Thibodeaux at that point now, you just got to make sure Patrick Jones, Jalen Twiddle, and Janarius Robinson are ready to go.
And
if they're ready to go, then you got a young line for years.
And that's another thing. I think because they drafted so many players last year for the line, that's why I think Stingley Jr. does fit them because they don't really have secondary help outside of
Smith.
Yeah, after what they drafted, like they don't really have secondary help. That's why I feel like Patrick. How long is Patrick Peterson going to actually physically be there?
True, that is very true.
And if you could learn from somebody, would you not want to learn from Patrick Peterson and Hunter Smith?
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, we'll see, but yeah, I just think for right now, I think
they both are there at 12. Good luck, Minnesota, because you got to get something good. You just don't know which one.
You got to get something good.
Then the ball is just in y'all court. I don't know what the hell to tell y'all.
Yeah, that's tough. That's very tough to see. But all right, that's gonna do it for today. We have a fun one. You guys let us know in the comments with the 12th pick. Who would you guys take? Derek Stingley or Kavon Thibodeaux? Or would you take somebody else? And tell us why. Tomorrow, we have a fun one. We're going to talk about the Browns. But in reality, we're going to make the selection for Houston. But it's going to be a Browns thing tomorrow.
Good God.
They had an interesting offseason. And it got even more interesting when they signed Deshaun Watson.
Traded inside them.
It was just one of those things, they also got Amari Cooper now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I told you in one of our shows, like, I could see Deshaun going to Cleveland.
You did, and here's the problem with that. I didn't see Amari Cooper going. So here's the thing.
Yeah, so there it is. I mean, at least he doesn't have to worry about a number one because I guess he's got Amari Cooper now. And he still
has to worry about number one. I don't know.
We'll see. But I do love the fact that, Cleveland is, now here's the sticky situation in all this. Is he going to get suspended? And Baker Mayfield is still there.
Ooh.
I'm kind of hoping this happens.
Ooh.
He doesn't get suspended and nobody trades for Baker. So Cleveland has to have both on the roster. So that way it's like,
I mean, you better call Seattle up and see what you can do. That's all I can tell you.
It's like, you know what? Yeah, man. Hey, what would you give me for Baker right now?
Better call Seattle up. That's the best thing I can do.
Because, I mean, Cleveland already played their hand. Cleveland already played their hand saying, we give up on Baker. That's why we're getting Deshaun Watson. Don't you think you want to do that after you trade Baker Mayfield? Not what? It's almost like, why did you trade for Amari Cooper? Dallas is going to release him.
Yeah, that was very stupid. You know how I felt about that damn trade. That was very dumb.
I think Cleveland is just desperate for names. They're desperate for names.
When Baker Mayfield wrote his goodbye letter, I would have assumed that you were actually going to get traded. like not only did they tell you no, we're not trading you, they still was trying to get Deshaun Watson while they told you no, we're not trading you.
Here's the thing. Here's the messed up part about it. He's like, listen, can you trade me to Indianapolis? Nope. Can you trade me to Seattle? Nope. I want you to stay here and be the backup to Deshaun Watson.
I need people to truly understand that. Like, they were still trying to trade for Deshaun Watson and told Baker Mayfield, we're not trading you. What the hell? And then they got him, and then they're like, yeah, we'll trade you now. What does What sense does it make now? It makes no sense.
Just that's the way business is done in Cleveland, I guess. I guess that's the way business is done in Cleveland. They'll rip your heart and your soul.
What did they literally? What they did literally trade? They literally did not give up after Deshaun Watson was like, "Nah, I'm not going to Cleveland." And then they were like, "No, we're gonna get him. We're going to get him. We still got Baker. We're going to get him. I don't care. We got Baker."
It's one of those things where I think tomorrow is going to be an episode full of jokes and full of laughter. But in all seriousness, it's like, dude, Browns,
we got one serious thing we have to talk about, Deshaun Watson. But after that, it's like open season. like, good God, Cleveland.
And then you decided to let go of J.C. Treader. Yeah.
And then you don't have a first round pick. I'm just saying.
And so it's one of those things where it's like you might. I don't know. I mean,
and by the way, they haven't really made any moves outside of Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson, like during the offseason, other than getting rid of J.C. Treader and Jarvis Landry. Like, what have you done? I can understand the Deshaun Watson one, but the Amari Cooper one is still a freaking head scratcher. I have no idea how you trade for Amari Cooper when Dallas literally said, "We're just gonna release him." Then release him.
Yeah, if we can't find a trade partner, we're gonna release him. It's like, okay, just wait for him to release and then throw the money at him. But no, you decided, no, he ain't coming to us.
And it's not like, and here's the thing, I don't think a lot of teams are gonna go get Amari Cooper. I mean, Odell Beckham is still sitting out there. You think they're gonna go rush and go get Amari Cooper?
Here's the thing about Amari Cooper. When he got his jersey, did you see that press conference when he got his jersey?
No, I haven't.
He was just holding it and he was just like,
I don't want to be here.
It looked like a damn mugshot. Like,
I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I'm out.
Like, get me out. It's like that video. The reporter, let me out.
I don't want to be here. I'm held here. I don't want to be here.
Like, the good thing is it's only 2 years on his contract, so he has to be there for 2 seasons, and after that, he has to hope somebody will give him another contract. Because at this point, I'm going to be honest about Amari Cooper. I'm going to be honest with you. I can understand why he wanted to leave the Raiders, because he didn't have a problem with the Raiders. He just had a problem with John Gruden. Now, after just 3 years, really? Like, at some point, it's like, hey, Amari, I think you might be the issue, bro.
When you go on the radio and say, I need the ball in my hands because I think that's the only way we're going to win games, and then they throw you the ball and you still don't win games, that's a problem.
That, and I hope the rumor is not true of Amari Cooper calling Dak Prescott the black version of Kirk Cousins. That would be terrible. That's
such an insult. That is
such an insult.
That is such an insult. I would have traded him off of principle.
Like, can't you just say I'm ugly or something? Like,
you gotta go.
Like, yeah, and that's the thing, dude. Like, I can honestly say the Raiders won that trade.
Yeah.
The Raiders won that trade because, dude, at least we got a first. Dallas only got a fifth. So
they had a 4th and a 6th?
No, I think it was just a 5th.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So I'm like, man,
what the hell did you trade him for then?
I can honestly sit here and say, like, all right, the Raiders won that trade. We got a 5th rounder, or we got a 1st rounder out of him.
Good God.
And the guy's still on our team. You guys traded him away for a 5th and a cap capital. All right, cool.
Oh, good God.
Thanks, Dallas.
Good God, that's a bad trade. You literally traded so-called your number 1 receiver away for a 5th round pick.
And then they re-signed a wide receiver that just tore his ACL to another 5-year deal, and they said, nah, he's better than you at this point. Good luck, Amari. You're going to love Cleveland. That's terrible. But that is tomorrow. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today from Minnesota. Brandon, as always, thank you so much for joining, my man. I will see you tomorrow, my man.
See you tomorrow, man.
Peace.
Peace.